Live. Let's go live. How's it going, everybody on YouTube? Let's go live on TikTok. Want to make sure everything's good there. Sure. It looks good. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. We are currently live. Let's see. Yeah, I got a few topics to go over. I was gonna maybe change the "you should be woke" because I think that people are mistaking what I have for what I mean by woke and what they think or they believe it means. But we'll keep it up. Actually, I think it's for good discussion. All right, if you're just coming in, please make sure to tap the back of the screen, share the live out, and yeah, let's get this party started. Hello, are you there?
Yep.
All right, can I get your age real quick?
25.
All right, and what brings you up?
Just the top one. I'm cool with all the other ones.
Okay. And what about "you should be woke"? Do you not agree with?
So, like, my whole thing is, I come from a Nordic pagan background, right? And I'm a universalist. I'm not one of the racist guys, right? But
Okay.
I used to be like super into the goth scene in my local area, and it's getting to the point now where people are starting to like take pictures of people with symbols that were appropriated by the Third Reich and then canceling them and ruining their careers online. And I'm like, I can't go out and enjoy myself anymore because of these people. And I'm like, when at a certain point do you just want to create a shared sense of outrage to make you feel like you belong in a community, or and be that level of woke to the point where you're ruining people's careers because you don't want to just have a simple conversation? Like,
So
it's just so weird.
I don't really consider that like as woke. Sorry, I'm trying to log into something here real quick.
You're good.
I would say that like woke is simply just being aware of the situation, like to act upon it and to like try and cancel people. That's like where I think the disconnect happens, where I would say that that's just like being, like overly I don't know, like assertive or something. But yeah,
they're not even aware, dude. Like, they're not even aware of the situation. Like, if you were fully aware, you would know that these have two different meanings, right? So like, I've asked one of these people before at one of these clubs, because they did take a picture of me, and I'm like, should the Christians stop wearing crosses because of the Crusades?
I mean, if you want my
Right?
personal opinion,
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, I would say yes too, but but like, you can't ask somebody to forego their fucking religious symbols just because a group of bad people used them before.
yeah, I don't like co-opting of things. Like I even think that the word woke is being co-opted. But I think that like what exact, like, can you describe like the symbol, I guess?
Yeah, so
because
I
there's
have
like kind of like a range, of like
Yeah, so I wear I wear I'm third generation. I wear
Mhm.
a historical Mjolnir pendant that was passed down through my family,
Oh,
right?
like the hammer.
Yeah, and then I also have runic tattoos. I have two rune bands on my upper arm,
Okay.
but they have Othala in them, but they don't have Odal, which has the little legs on it. That's the one that the Reich used, the one with the little
Oh,
legs,
gotcha.
right? So they see the Othala and they're like, "Oh, you're a Yahtzee, so I'm going to take pictures of you and then post them online and cancel you." And I'm like, they're like, well, shouldn't you not use these symbols? And I'm like, no, because the fucking disgruntled painter made his own alphabet and changed them all. So why would I forego my religious symbols just because it upsets you? And you don't want to educate yourself properly. Like, educate yourself properly. It's not my responsibility to educate you.
Yeah, like I think that it's fine to yeah, I'm trying to think of like how like that could be kind of like worked out, because it does suck, like that the symbol that you take as, oh, we got veneration, like as holy or like part of your heritage, and it's being co-opted by like a hate group. Hey, Fenderson.
Hey man, it's been a while. How you doing?
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah.
Doing all right. Did you catch Fenrir? What we were just talking about? How basically he was saying that he's getting like called out or canceled because he is sporting like a Nordic pagan symbolism.
It's also this too. I've said this publicly, which gets a lot of people upset. It's like I believe that if you have ancestry that's connected to the belief system, it helps a little bit, but you don't have to have it to practice, right? And I say that publicly, right? Like if you're a Nigerian man, you want to practice, go for it, right?
Mhm.
If you have a good connection, go for it. But I think if you have ancestry that's connected to the land where it comes from, I think it helps. You don't need it, right? But people hate that shit too. It's like I can't take pride in my ancestry without being called a Nazi, and it's really weird. It's really like it's a level of wokeness in my mind that is just so dumb. It's just so dumb. Like have a conversation with people before you assume what they are. It's just
Yeah.
so strange.
So I wouldn't like consider it that like what I'm referring to as being woke. I guess like being woke to me would be just like knowing the difference, right? Like so like you were saying, like that's almost antithetical to what these people are trying to like bust you out on. But I would say that there is this like I think afterthought of like like this like woke culture, or like this co-opting of the word woke, where it's now turned into like just like extreme progressivism,
Well,
to
yeah.
where I would like try, like I would create a like a separation of the two.
Well, yeah. It's like it's just almost like people are just gonna take what they're told, right? Whatever they're told, and they're gonna say, well, you might be a safe person with these symbols, but how are other people supposed to know other people who use them are safe? Well, that's not my responsibility, right? Ask the question or don't. Just assume it. That doesn't mean taking pictures of me at a fucking goth club, right?
Yeah,
And then posting them online. And it's just so fucking strange to me. It's just like, and I told him, I was like, canceling only works if I give a fuck, right?
right.
But it's just people just seem to want to create a shared sense of outrage to create a sense of belonging in their community.
So, as a person who's also in your group, well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still in your group. You argue that point, but that's fine. Um, I I feel like it is our responsibility. We have this schism within our community. We have a large contingent of white supremacists within our community. We have an entire church that you used to be a member of that is causing these issues on a grand scale and is assisting in the appropriation of our culture into white supremacy. It is our job to plug that in and fuck that off. It is our job to use those symbols in a positive light and to educate. Yes, when our entire culture has been co-opted by white supremacy, it does fall on us to make sure that these symbols are put into a positive light.
When I say it's not my responsibility, I should have clarified. It's not my responsibility to the people who aren't going to listen. That's what I meant. So if you're somebody who's not going to listen, who's just going to continue to believe that anybody who uses these is this thing, and no matter what I tell you, because you know me, I do literal public speaking at Ren fairs and
Yeah, I know.
events and stuff like that to educate on this stuff. And it's like if you're not going to listen, I'm not going to waste my breath. I'll try,
Thanks, Dougal.
but at a certain point, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and let you be happy in your ignorance.
But that's not, well, that's fine. And I'm not saying that if you try to talk to somebody about it and they say go fuck off, that you should follow them around until they're got their mind changed. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you're going to get pushback and on any position you take. And especially when we have, white supremacists walking through towns waving the Mjolnir and Odin's triangle, there's going to be this pushback. There's going to be, well, anytime I see this symbol, I see white supremacists under it. And I can't blame them because that's all they're fucking seeing. They're either seeing Marvel movies or they're seeing that.
Yeah.
And it is contingent upon us to be like, hey, listen, we when I march, because you know that I've done the same thing as you have, not on the scale you've done it, but I've marched against the Proud Boys. I've marched against mag hats all over the city, uh, and I wave my flags and I wear all my symbols, and I have protesters who are alongside me, like they turn to me and they go, "Hey, who you with?" And I give them who I'm with, and that's it. I haven't gotten that pushback that you have in when I'm marching with people
I think the
online.
problem.
Online? Wait, Howard, wait a minute. Online? Yes. You're going to get people who are going to be just argumentative and they don't want to take any education whatsoever on this topic. I get it. It's frustrating. But that's going to be any topic you bring about anything.
Yeah. I mean, and my thing is too, is like, I've done enough. I feel like I've done enough. I've come to the point where, like, I think it's where people get an issue with me is because they think that I'm going to bark like a child who's been taken away from a pat that was raised by wolves, right? Like, you can teach it how to talk again, right? And you can teach it how to be a human, but it's going to bark every once in a while. People assume that because I grew up in the AFA, that I have these residuals left over. And that's not the case. Like, I may have grown up in the AFA, but I've done a lot of work to get away from those people. So they see me out at goth clubs and they're like, "Oh, that's the AFA guy, not the guy who actively speaks out against these people." So it's just I think that's part of it too.
I have a question for you. So like, have you like engaged with anybody that has had like a problem, and like have they ever like suggested, like have you ever asked like, so what should I do or something, like just to
You know what they told me?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, are they telling you to like cover up your tattoos or something?
You know what they told me?
What's that?
During this conversation I had with somebody, I told them that I've worked a lot with Jewish communities, specifically, and they said, "Well, why would you go into a Jewish community with the tattoos that you have?" And I was like, "Well, what do you suppose I do in the contrary?" Because they said, "Well, take all your symbols off and then go in." I'm like, "You want me to take my skin off?" I was like, "I'm not going to spend 4.5 hours like before work, when I was working that job, covering up my tattoos with makeup." But what I told them, what actually happens when I go to these communities is these people ask me questions, and now I'm the token Norseman in their community. I'm the guy that they like, It's not hard. If it's hard for the primary community that was hurt by these symbols and by the people who appropriated them, if it's not hard for them, then why is it hard for you?
I think this is the issue that I consistently run into a wall with you, Halvor, is that you're taking like these people who aren't willing to listen on social media and saying, well, fuck it all, or that's what it sounds like, because there's these crazies online. And I'm like, okay, there's crazies online, so what's that have to do with your movements in the real world and how you engage with people? One of the things that I always point out, I'm a leftist. You're pretty, I don't know how far left, but you have some leftist opinions. The life of a leftist is pain, always, and always will be. We lose constantly. We get backstabbed all the time, and we have infighting like nobody else. This is going to occur, and I think that to go back a little bit on one of your things, you do have one or two less problematic residuals from the FA. I have noticed that. The blood thing being one of them. I don't give a shit about blood. I could be, as far as I'm concerned, I could be Mongolian and still be a Norse pagan. But this, I think you need to just take a step away from social media as the be all end all of woke opinion and talk to there's progressives. You live in Massachusetts. There's progressives fucking everywhere.
Mhm.
And I go to Massachusetts and I meet with progressives everywhere, and they see my tattoos and they don't give a shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think it's primarily because like these people know, like there's most people are aware of this, like with how much it's been in the mainstream media, but it's almost like I said, like this is happening in public to me, Fen. Now, like I went to a goth club the other night, and I had somebody take a picture of me who's one of the hired photographers, and then blast me online for the tattoos I had. Like, it's like, come on, dude. Like, I can't even go out in public anymore as an Nordic pagan. Like, I understand.
I didn't know I was up here. I'm sorry, guys.
You're fine, Hunter. Good to see you.
Like, I can't even go out in public anymore as a Nordic pagan. It's just so fucking weird. It's like, how woke do you have to be to make people fucking shut-ins? Like, it's just so strange. It's weird.
I mean, personally, if that were to happen to me, I would laugh and I would keep going to that goth club. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, and if that person wants to talk to me about it, they can talk to me about it. But like, are people like, if you go back to that goth club, do you think anybody's gonna like attack you? You think anybody's gonna actually
have no
like?
idea.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
I don't like problems. You know how big I am. I'm just a big
I'm
teddy
fully
bear.
aware,
I
man.
don't like problems. I don't like having issues with people. I don't want to have to hurt people. I know I can, but I don't like doing it.
David Gen X. Sorry. You really had to put that all in all caps, didn't you? I guess. I just to like butt in a little bit here. I think that this is like a bit of an issue. Like, say somebody gets a tattoo and then another like group or something, tries to co-opt it or take it over. Like, is it upon you to have to like constantly explain that tattoo afterwards? I guess like it depends on like how big the situation is. And I guess necessarily also like, I don't know if the Nordic tattoo or the, like symbolism, is that more of like a newer like neo-Schnazi kind of thing, or
Yeah, the old Nazis tried to co-opt it too.
Is it?
It
Okay.
was, yeah.
Yeah, and my other thing is this too. Like, I may have that residual leftover from like the AFA, right? But I think what I did was I reframed it in a manner to where I could still hold that belief somewhat and still be inclusive at the same time. Because I said you don't need it, right? But I think that it helps. So if you could articulate to me where an issue is in that, I would be more than open to changing my opinion. I'm asking you, Fen.
I think that automatically when you start talking about bloodlines and that it helps, I don't see why it helps. Why would that help?
Well, I mean,
When we're talking about deity, especially.
I'm not talking about this in terms of dating. I'm talking about this in terms of like, ancestor veneration is a huge part of the belief system. Why would you venerate somebody else's ancestors?
Why can't a Mongolian just venerate their ancestors in the way that the Nordics do?
Because the Mongolians have their, like, pre-Christian Mongolians had a practice where they did venerate their ancestors.
Okay, I don't know why that bars what I asked.
But how are their ancestors going to be able to understand how are they going to be able to understand if you're using the Nordic traditions in contrary with what they're used to?
So, being one that doesn't believe in souls, I'm going to put up my pagan shoes for a minute here, my theist pagan shoes for a minute, and say that I think that if the ancestors are actually still around, I think that as long as you're venerating them, I don't think they give a shit. They're in a spiritual realm now. Like, if they don't have more understanding in the spiritual realm and more, like if you believe that, for example, the Norse gods actually exist, then it wouldn't surprise me if there are tons of non-Nords who are in Valhalla or Hell, whether they be converts or people that fought alongside the Vikings that had different spiritual beliefs but still fought alongside them, especially if you believe in several different parts of the soul, like a lot of Norse do.
Yeah.
Like I don't see this issue if we're actually believing that the spirit is going somewhere, that the soul actually exists. No, I do not think that they care how you venerate them as long as you venerate them. I don't even know if they care.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, I'm going to have to sit down and sit with this and think about it for a little while, come back to you with what my conclusion is, because I'm actually going to go back and think about this.
All right.
But you know, it's just, to me, it's gotten to a point, to bring it back around to my original point, it's gotten to a point, and I'll get out of your hair after this if you want. It's gotten to a point with, like, what I see as woke culture, to the point where if you are anything but what they are, right? Anything but what they believe in, you are an enemy.
Yeah, and I can't stand like the purity test stuff. I think that it's only like masochistic, if you will, because you're separating good people that may have had a past, or they may not have like the completely same opinion on something, or they may still need to be corrected on a few things. And I think that, like, to just shut them off without like letting people like make a mistake, like my whole thing is like about deconstruction, right? So like I think that like if you're gonna deconstruct something, you don't know like all the ins and outs, so you're gonna make, you know, a mistake here or there. So if they're like just gonna like cancel you without even trying to like correct you, or, you know, allow you the opportunity to address it, and then, you know, like say like, okay, you know, I'm gonna try and do better, or whatever, then yeah, I think that that's fucked up. And I honestly, I don't really like think that they are a majority, but they do seem to be like the loudest of like people on like that are claiming, you know, self-claiming like the woke like title, where I'm more so just like referring to like woke as just being aware, right? Like just stay woke, don't be asleep, you know, kind of thing. Which I think is how it was like initially.
Originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I know that that's originally it's the format it was designed for. You know, and I have one last question, and I'll listen to your answers from the comments, and I'm open to changing my mind on this too. I'm a really big fan of Survive the Jive on YouTube. I don't agree with him on everything, but I enjoy a lot of his documentary content. And one of the things he said is that it's interesting that it's okay for every other culture, every other ethnic group on every other continent across the world to take pride in their heritage and their ancestry. But the minute that it's somebody who is European or of like a non-melanated complexion, it's a problem, which is interesting because you know, it's weird.
However, I disagree with the entire premise. I go to Highland Games all the time for my Scottish heritage. I go to pagan festivals all the time for my Nordic heritage, even though, yeah, we don't have a lot of like the equivalent of the Highland Games for Norse. But like I go to all of these things and I do not see this issue. I do not see protesters outside of Highland Games, although there are some Highland Games that probably should get protested, like the one that sits right underneath Stone Mountain, for example. I find it ridiculous that the biggest Highland Games in the entire country is underneath a Confederate monument. But, you know, I don't, or when there's St. Patrick's Day, like we don't see.
I was gonna say, like, as a half Irish person,
I wear a red shirt on St. Patrick's Day. I specifically wear all red on St. Patrick's Day.
Honestly, yeah, as a half Irish person, you know, like we're not all leprechauns, right?
The big issue though isn't like taking pride in your ethnic heritage. The idea, though, I disagree with is taking pride of whiteness. That's where you and I might have a conversation, because then what you're doing, I think you're imperializing your own ethnic group by just putting it as white. Oh, we're all just derived from Europe, so they were all the same. I think that's bullshit to begin with. And I think that is where the problem lies when we're making these grandiose statements that, oh, we're all white, we're all the best, we're prideful of our white heritage.
I've never said that. Yeah.
I know that's not what, but that's what that's where the issue lies. Is I don't see, during Oktoberfest when the Germans start going out and going to their local beer hall, there's nobody caring about that. Nobody's complaining about Germans doing that and practicing their culture. I don't see this at all.
Let me say this exactly the way I say this to people when they ask me this. I say that I'm very proud of my Proto-Germanic heritage. Because I'm Polish, I have a connection to the Goths, specifically. The Germanic tribe, the Goths. And okay, hold on, kid. Hold on, please. Yeah, and they're like, what do you mean Proto-Germanic? I'm like, Proto-Germanic, the historical term Proto-Germanic. And they're like, well, that's just Nazi shit. And I'm like, no, the fuck it's not. Now you can leave me alone. Like, it's weird.
I mean, I also take very big pride in my proto, if you want to put it this way, proto-Scottish heritage, my Pictish heritage. But you can't deny that Nazis do use that terminology quite often. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a historical term, though. Like,
I understand, but if people aren't going in with the historical knowledge, which not a lot of people do, like not a lot of people know about the Goths, the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, all them. But all the contact they are having with this language is coming from white supremacy. Why are you blaming them for having this idea that this is a white supremacy narrative?
Because when I look, so all these people use the hate symbol database and like the dog whistle database that the FBI offers, right? They have it all there, all the verbiage, everything. And when you look at, like, for example, like they have the term Germanic on there. And under that term, they say that it is used by hate groups, but it's also used by non-racist pagans. They have that underneath all the runes that they have on there too.
Yep,
it is used by Yahtzee groups, but it's also used by non-racist pagans. So its identification should be done with care. So if these people are so educated and using the same database, why are you coming at me if you're using this same database?
Yeah. Good question, I think, honestly. If it's saying that in the database and like making the distinguishment, like I think that's on them to know that, I guess, but like I think that there's still room for a discussion to clarify, I guess, maybe on their end to like ask like, okay, are you Norse pagan or are you like, YT supremacist or something?
Yeah. I'm gonna jump out of your hair though.
Okay.
I got some dishes. I got some dishes to do. Also fed. That night where everybody I said the thing I said earlier, but in a bad way. I was very deep into some darks, if you catch my drift.
I understand.
And I have been going to a Nordic pagan sobriety class recently.
I appreciate
Hey, cool.
that,
That's awesome they offer those.
So I wanted to apologize to you for that. That's why I blocked everybody, just to take a break. But I did unblock you and follow you again. So
all right, I appreciate.
Just let everybody know.
If you need to reach out to me, okay?
Just let everybody know that's in the group that's what was going on. They don't have to forgive me. They have no obligation. I don't expect them to. But
it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, I really appreciate the discussion. I think this is a really interesting discussion. So I really do. Restore America. Sorry about that. Are you there?
No
Can
worries.
I get your age real quick?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm 24.
All right. And what brought you up?
I mean, I can address all of the. There was one that I strongly disagreed with. The other ones I can kind of see, like being woke. I can understand. I mean, obviously, like you said, being aware of what's going on in the geopolitical world. I think that's completely fine. I personally don't support the act of being a part of the LGBTQ community, but I respect them as human beings. I love them as human beings. I just don't support the act. But I think I support them in a social sense, just not in a religious sense. The one that I disagreed with was that the USA is not founded on Christianity. I think there's strong evidence to suggest that the United States was founded on Christianity. Yeah.
I would disagree. I just completely disagree with that because of multiple things, but there's nothing like identifiably Christian about the foundation of the United States of America, right? Like I will recognize that like Puritans and Christians of that sort were like, you know, making up the 13 colonies, or, you know, there were the Pilgrims and what have you. But beyond that, like as you look at the founding documents or anything, there's nothing like strictly Christian in there. A lot of people will argue like, you know, oh, the laws and the 10 commandments and stuff. But then I would just say that a lot of what they are referring to is like Western like philosophy and even more ancient like law codes that Christianity took from.
Well, this is what I'll say, and this is the one that I think a lot of people overlook, right? Is, you know, you can see that in God we trust, one nation under God. You can see that in some of the things that we use in this country,
yeah,
right?
But those were
and a lot of people
in
will
the
say,
40s.
Yeah, that
Those
was
were added in the 40s and 50s.
That was almost like 200
Correct,
years later.
But dating back to George Washington, every single president or governor that has been sworn in has their hand on a Christian
By their
Bible.
choice. That's not a mandate. They can swear
It is
in on
not
whatever
mandatory. It is okay. Just because it's not mandatory does not negate the fact that it is a tradition that has stemmed back to the foundation of this country.
It's only a tradition because they chose it. If any one of those people had chosen to be anything else, they would have sworn in on anything else.
So do you think every single president since George Washington has been Christian?
That's a good
Yeah,
question.
they actually are. It was there for a little while. It was part of the overall expectation. There was no law about it, but it was an expectation. Most of them were Christians based on where they came from within the colonies. They celebrated various versions of Christianity. Like Benny brought up, there were Protestants, there were Puritans, there were, I mean, every state, every colony had a
Amish.
different, every state, every colony had a different version of Christianity they were primarily influenced by, which would just mean all those presidents were too.
So
Well,
I mean,
Andrew
hell,
Johnson is a good
JFK was
example.
JFK was the first Catholic president we ever had. I mean,
Correct.
Thomas
But Andrew
Jefferson
Johnson is
probably-
a good example. So Andrew Johnson rejected the idea of any sort of church. When he was sworn in, Andrew Johnson still had his hand on a Bible.
again, that was his choice. He didn't have to do that.
yeah, you could put your
But
hand
he
on
rejected
anything.
the idea. Yeah, exactly. That's my point, right? It's like if you could put your hand on anything, right?
Yeah.
Or if you didn't have to, why not put your hand on the Torah, or why not put your hand on the
Why
Quran, or why
would
even
he?
put your hand on anything
Why
at all?
would he?
It's
When most
symbolic.
of the country is Christians, why would he? He wouldn't care.
The point is,
Exactly. But that's my point.
the
is
point
that it
is,
stems back to the foundation of this country.
no, the
That's
point
not a
is that
point.
it stems back to their personal, like what they hold, you know, I guess, or it might just be, you know, like because the last guy did it, so he just like used a Bible also because he didn't really care. I guess
It's also just the
Thomas
pressure from
Jefferson,
those that voted for him.
Thomas Jefferson, Lincoln, and Andrew Johnson were three that had like no formal affiliation. I'm not even sure if Lincoln was like technically a Christian.
And Thomas Jefferson specifically was a deist, and although he
Right.
believed in the teachings of Jesus, he did not believe that Jesus was like a miracle worker of any sort or the Son of God.
He was actually famous for writing down that
Oh, yeah.
the country was not founded on Christian values.
Well, and he had that version of the Bible that like took out all the paranormal or supernatural stuff.
Yeah, all the divine stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so like my argument isn't really that Christians don't make up like a large swath of Americans, you know, or like even like in history. I would say like, you know, even a majority of Americans throughout history have been Christian. But I just don't see where like people get like this whole, the US is founded on like, and they'll use this word Judeo-Christian values. And I like that the word Judeo-Christian doesn't even make sense to me because that's just
No.
like two opposing things. So
Oh yeah, I 100% agree that Judaism and Christianity do not go hand in hand whatsoever.
okay, yeah. So like, and that's my point, is that it's just like a little bit of a frustrating. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a history buff or something, and a bit of a non-believer / skeptic. So it just bothers me when people like try to claim something that isn't quite there. Like I always ask, like, where's the Bible verse that is, related to the foundation of America? Like where's the Bible verse that says like go to this frontier, or like other land and colonize it, and like separate from a tyrannical government or anything like that.
Set up a republic.
Yeah. I just don't see thank you, by the way. I just don't see the history there, like, or the verse that would like tie it into Christianity itself. I like I said though, like I would say, Christianity is definitely an aspect of it, like fundamentally, but not really founded on Christianity at all.
Well, see, I'm not even Protestant. I'm Roman Catholic. So a lot of the people that came over here that instilled religious values, especially Protestantism, I believe is based off of a false gospel. So I mean,
I like Catholics more than I like Protestants. I'll say that.
Can I ask a question about that, since we're talking about Catholics? Like, my family can never give me a straight answer, and they're all MAGA. Like, why do Catholics oppose the Roman Catholic, like the Roman Catholics specifically? Why do they oppose the Pope when it comes to Trump?
are you talking about like Anglicans or
No, Roman Catholics.
No, Roman Catholics don't oppose the Pope.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know of any like Roman
my
Catholic.
MAGA Roman Catholic family very much so does, and so do all the Catholics they know here in the Midwest and South.
They're probably Anglican. A lot of the Anglicans are the ones that oppose the Pope.
No, my family is
recognize the
Roman
Pope's
Catholic.
authority.
My
So
family is Roman Catholic.
There's like Catholics that just like take the title, but really they're just like evangelical. Like they just don't really take the
I
time
mean,
to like
it's
look into
almost everybody in their congregations, and they're Roman Catholics. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I know some people that are like very, very much like Catholic, like to in an older sense, and not so much like reformist in any sort of way. But there's like a reformed, like Catholic, and maybe that is.
I've even talked to a few Roman Catholic nationalists on here, and it's fucking crazy.
Huh.
Yay, groypers.
Bro. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I would say that's like a contradiction to like
That's my point. Yeah, and that's why I can't understand it.
like
what
deny
is
the
happening?
Pope is kind of wild. And to like claim to be like a Roman Catholic, like that's, I mean, the Pope is in Rome, like that's like the whole establishment.
Yeah, that is weird, especially when you look back to like the first Pope was Peter, right? And Jesus, before he was crucified, basically handed over the keys of the church to Peter and said, "On this rock I will build my church." And the Vatican is quite literally built over Peter's tomb.
Yeah, like St. Peter's Basilica, isn't it? Isn't that?
Yeah. Yep.
See, I remember some things here. Yeah, interesting. I don't know. That it seems like contradictory. Yeah, but so
I just always wondered that, and I thought, well, maybe if I've got a Roman Catholic here that can explain it to me. I don't get it because my family can't explain it to me.
So as an ex-Catholic, I would say that there is this, it's not a full schism, but a slight schism within the church. And this comes up a lot, especially if you look at like the list of excommunications, which is on Wikipedia. They have a whole list. Almost all of them are basically fathers, bishops, archbishops who say that the papacy has been corrupted, that they do not see the current pope as the true vicar of Christ.
Yeah, and that's kind of what like that's the only thing that I could think of that's close to that.
Yeah, so basically the idea is that after Vatican II, the entire papacy was corrupted.
Oh, there's my Catholic nationalist there that I talked to in the chat right now. Christian traditionalist or Catholic traditionalist.
Yeah, Catholic. Yeah,
Leo is not a Catholic, he says.
Yeah, so there's this idea that the papacy has been corrupted, and nothing that has come after Vatican II is good Catholic teaching, basically.
Yeah, I just don't understand how you could deny the Pope when like the Pope is like almost a divine figure.
It is. It's been ever since the days of when they were in bed with whatever family was a mafia family in Italy. What's the name of that family? Yeah, like
You're not talking about the Gaudis, are you?
No, no.
Corleones?
There was a show on HBO about a pope.
Oh,
and
the
it was
Borgias?
made by Jeremy Irons. Yeah. Like the Catholic Church, the Catholic Church has been an international criminal organization ever since maybe the beginning.
Well, we know that. That's how Christianity spread itself, was through all of the mob bossy ways of the Romans for a long time.
Catholicism, yeah. But then you have Christians that like they try to appeal to some very ambiguous philosophy and say, wow, though they aren't Christians and what have you. But we're just like in the realm of arguing theology. And I feel like non-believers need to kind of stop doing that. Like it's kind of getting old. No offense.
Why should we stop doing it when you guys beat folk up with it?
Well, wait, Knuckles, are you like a theist or like an atheist?
No, I live a secular life. I don't believe in ancient superstitions. Maybe I have modern ones, like my sports team might do better if I wear certain socks. Like I don't believe that, but like it happens because I'm human. But I don't have any of these ancients.
Why not at least give it a shot? You know, I understand that. Like whenever I gamble or something, I if you do something different and you lose, you're like, oh shoot.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still silly to build an entire life based on those types of superstitions that are based in the ancient world, and that's what we're talking about. So
I think I'll give a little bit of a pushback here. I think that arguing or like debating theology is interesting as a non-believer because there's we have to work with what we got a little bit. So there's a part of me that, I don't really like, continuing on Christianity, but if I have to like live with them, at least I can help them kind of figure out what like their beliefs are, and maybe in
they run into a wall, bro. They run into a wall of
some do, some don't. Some do, some don't.
I want to know more or less how can you say they're ancient superstitions?
Well, because we get letters and DMs and stuff from people all the time. They're like, "Oh my God, I never thought about that way," and they start deconstructing it. Just because the person we're talking to hits a wall doesn't mean somebody that is listening does.
Yeah, no, of course, no, fair point. Yeah, I'm talking about the overall conversation. That's constantly had.
But those are for the overall conversation. They're literally the point.
I think Knuckles the end game. The end game is like for me would be to hopefully just go like completely secular, right? And people like that are religious, they just keep it to themselves or like practice privately, and
exactly.
I think that's the end game for at least most of the people that I interact with as far as like non-believers. But when it comes to when I talk to some Christians, I'll like realize they've put critical thinking into it. And then there's some that just like have not at all, like Catholic traditionalists.
Well, I wanted to ask Knuckles a question if I could.
My whole goal is for all of these.
Well, that's just poisoning the well. But since you brought up my name, let's have a discussion on critical thinking. Let's see who it is that's thinking critically.
Somebody wanted to ask me a question, though.
So with regards to things that you perceive to exist, would you agree that those things have the characteristic whereby they're capable of being perceived?
Hold on.
Yeah, somebody wanted to ask me a question.
What was the question?
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask you.
The host brought up my name. He claimed that I don't hold critical
Okay,
thinking.
just
Oh.
wait your turn.
Now he's muting me. He's running away. This is what they
What?
do.
You're always
Is it,
like.
oh,
coming
he's
up.
being that he's just being that typical TikTok dude. But somebody
Yeah, I would have liked
want
to
to
have
ask me a
asked
question.
him some
What's up?
questions about why he denies the Pope. But I think that was Restore America. What was your question?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I just want your opinion because I know you're a non-believer, right? So like, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
In Christianity, yeah. So
Yeah,
I know
Christianity
you said that like a lot of
Hinduism
Catholics,
and Muslim, all of the above. Yeah,
all of the
so you're
religious
not
aspects.
special.
I got you.
Yeah, you're not special. You're on that other side of the line. Just to make it clear, my friend. But go ahead.
So you called it an ancient tradition or these ancient superstitions,
Ancient
right?
superstition, yeah, of course.
Okay. So
Yes,
my question to you then is, if it's
Bronze
so
Age,
ancient,
to be specific.
right? But if it's so ancient, right? Then how can you say it's ancient when you still have like modern saints being canonized in the Catholic Church?
Because
you have
people are
miracles that
stupid.
have been certified
Because people
by
still
the
like
Catholic
to
Church.
because people still like to listen to JoJo Siwa and believe that she has some kind of a musical talent. Humans are stupid, bro. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, things are popular because of the force put behind them, and usually it's economic force. And in this instance, it was physical force. The only reason why these ancient superstitions are still popular in today's day is because the human race went through something called the Crusades. And granted, it was two opposing factions of the same fucking ancient superstition, right? Like Muslims and Christians are cousins, actually brothers, I think. So we have yet to grow out of this. And I think most of you are just comfortable having the same fucking conversation over and over again, but I'm not. So that's my answer.
Well, I kind of wanted to go further into that because I'm curious because there have been thousands, if not tens of thousands, of appeals to have certain people canonized as saints in the Catholic Church, and the Roman Catholic Church
Why would
approaches
that
these
matter?
situations very, very carefully.
It doesn't
right?
mean anything.
Why would that
It's like-
matter?
I mean, I think it does.
It's
I mean,
the
you
same
should
thing
really
as
look at the St.
society
Carlos Acutis.
It's the same thing as society deeming someone like quote unquote JoJo Siwa being a fucking talented musician. Pop
Wait,
is popular. Pop music is popular. Pop religion is popular. It doesn't make any of it true.
yeah,
So then let me
because-
ask you this then. Since the Catholic Church is the most...
But Restore, by that same logic, then why is the Dalai Lama, after thousands of years, being chosen every time? Like, it's still a thing that happens because people believe it still. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it real. It just means it's a tradition people still do.
Well, no, that's my point, right? Is that because these things are so... they're so common, right, to have these people brought up to the Catholic Church and say, oh, look at this miracle, look at this miracle. We need to canonize this person as a saint. The Catholic Church is very careful when they approach these situations, and they want actual proof that a miracle actually happened, right?
Yeah, what is the Catholic Church's standard for it being proof?
There has to be, like, physical evidence
What is that
spiritual
physical evidence
intervention
that they've
or
accepted?
divine intervention.
What is the physical evidence they've accepted for a miracle?
You should talk to one of the cardinals in the Catholic Church about that because I don't know.
You.
I don't know what the cardinals do, but I know that there have been thousands, if not tens of thousands, of people
Again,
that have been
that
brought to
does
the
not
Catholic
add
Church.
to its validity if nobody has a way to check its validity.
Yeah. Do you think Mother Teresa is a saint?
She was a horrible woman.
I have heard some things about Mother Teresa, but I don't necessarily know exactly
You have this mental block because you believe in an ancient cult, and that's what this discussion deserves. I don't need to parse my language out any more than what I just said.
Otto, are you there?
Yes, sir. Right.
Can I just get your age real quick, just for TikTok purposes?
Yes, sir. I'm 20.
Okay. And what brings you up?
I wanted to speak about the LGBTQ topic and that you should be woke, because I'm kind of confused on what you mean by the term woke.
Okay. Well, let's have our current panelists finish up their discussion, or I guess he left. So if anybody wants to continue in on this discussion, feel free to stay in. But yeah, I'm with Knuckles on that one a little bit, but at the same time, like, yeah, if it's something that people have been doing for a while, and Yeah, like it doesn't necessarily legitimize it, but it doesn't also mean that they can't like practice these things, I guess.
Yeah,
But
of course not.
yeah,
But they also can't like
it
go
doesn't make it
out.
true.
They
Yeah,
also well that too. But like you 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 also can't go out into whatever society you're in and then try to actively force this upon the political system, but also the economic system. A lot of these philosophies have been reimagined into economic philosophies about what it means, what hard work means, what it means to be paid for work, what it means to be an owner. And I'm not making anything like this is nothing like new, So we need a better understanding of how religion integrates into a modern society.
I agree on that. Like, absolutely. I think that people need to understand that, yeah, like there's a social aspect to religion, and then there's like this whole divine and like what we consider truth aspect to religion, where yeah, like just because people are venerating saints or they are, giving people sainthood still, that doesn't mean that anything is like that Jesus even existed or like it was divine in any sort of way. So
my big issue is and always will be supremacy narratives. If you look at a lot of these, a lot of like pagan get-togethers, you have people with vastly different beliefs on deity, on spirit, on what is, valuable, and they're getting along, and they're practicing their practices together in these open forums. But you don't see Christians doing that. You sometimes can't even see Christians doing that amongst Christians. Like Catholics are demonized by a vast majority of other denominations.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
And I think that's like the major issue that I have. If Christians were just like, hey, come talk to us about I don't know, Odin, let's worship the deity together as a whole, like the deity as like a nomer for all supernatural. I wouldn't probably have any of the issues that I do with Christianity, but
I think you're touching on something there with that. I think that there is like this supremacy thing where they think that like if you don't get it right, you're doomed, right?
Well, it's not just that.
It's belief. Pagans don't.
I'm sorry, Finn. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Pagans don't have this idea like if you don't believe in the gods, you get burned alive for all eternity.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But pagans are just non-Christians. So that's where the term comes from. At the time.
Yeah, I'm using the colloquial.
I understand. Yeah, that is the colloquial understanding. If you mean to say polytheists, maybe like people who believe in polytheism or animists, then that would be the more accurate term. But again, like we're still arguing theology. Christians, Catholics, this entire belief system grew in a government that was controlled by Rome. So, if if we're going to pinpoint at one point, like pinpoint a time in history where the two split, I don't think we can do that. Catholics are Christians, and but not all Christians are Catholics. But then again, that is just a rebellion within their own theology, and I have no patience for that anymore. I grew up a Catholic. They called us Christians. We all learned about the history of this story, and it seems to me to just be fiction. It seems to me to just be like an ancient Marvel, DC type universe, Batman type character. And we still have yet to figure out the motivations of these authors. We don't even know who the authors were.
Right.
So it again, this is my last point. It's better for the human race to stop believing these things as if they're some kind of impetus to form some belief system on how humans should live in the modern day.
And that's kind of what Finn was talking about. Like the whole point, and what I often bring up is like if Christians left this at home like other religions do, they would not hear about it from us. other than maybe casual talk about what their religion is, if somebody happens to be curious. But in broader respect, the whole point is, though, that it's like Benny said, the supremacy thing. If you go out preaching that your religion is not only the best, it's also the one that needs to be running everything, and you need to abide by it. And if you practice your religion in front of me, I'm going to call it demonic, like they do with literally everybody, then that's where the problem really lies.
Well, I think that like a bit of like what Knuckles is, I think Knuckles, I think you're like closer to the like end game, right? Where I'm more like trying to work within the restrictions that we, you know, it's a little bit of realpolitik, you know, like I have to like kind of throw my hands up a little bit because there's just so many people that you know have this belief system that they can't, you know, like just snap their fingers and be like over it. But I think that like little by little and by having like a spectrum of where people kind of sit on this like edge of the debate, if you will, like I think that you like being closer to the end game and like myself being kind of more in the middle, like trying to meet them maybe a little bit in the middle and then try and like direct them in your direction is helpful.
And whether a spectator sees it or not, the fact of the matter is these conversations do drive us toward that. Whether we see it with the person we're directly talking to or people around us. If you want the end game, the only way to get there is to put in the work. And part of that is these combos.
But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And like it causes a lot of internal conflict for myself because I'm like, am I perpetrating, you know, like, or perpetuating like perpetuating like this thing that, you know, like as a non-hetero man, like, you know, it's probably the number one reason, you know, like I receive any kind of, you know, marginality.
We've put in the work, though. The human race has put in lots of work. We have literally measured the energy content of empty space. We are beyond.
I would agree. We are at a point to where we don't need
that doesn't deconstruct a whole lot of people who are indoctrinated.
No,
just because a handful of people. Just because a handful of people make advancements that help the entire race doesn't mean that the deconstruction has happened.
No, well, but that's a psychological issue, right? This
right,
is not,
and how do you fix that without education and talking about it? It just doesn't happen overnight by ignoring it.
I understand. Bro, point taken. Like, sir, I'm sorry. I don't, yes,
yeah,
point taken. Yeah. But that doesn't... that doesn't behoove us to keep having the same circular conversation that's an ancient one over and over again on this app or anywhere else in our lives, because I don't do that.
I get what you're at. It's just, I think we're at a point in time right now. It's just, I wish things could move quicker. I really do. Like, honestly, I wish aliens would just like come down and be like, yeah, God's not real, guys. Or something, you know, like something that we're big enough for people to like wake up from this, you know, kind of self-delusion, if you will, as a non-believer. But I don't think we're there. I think that like scientifically we are. I think that we have the answers for a lot of the unknowns to where we don't require any sort of God of the gaps. But I also think that it's just old dog new tricks kind of thing where it's just going to be a really a while until people kind of give up the ghost, if you will.
Education improvement's the only way that's going to happen. Until then, you're stuck with us just talking about it online.
But no, I think that like it's good, like what Knuckles is bringing up. I think that's a good like self check on like the non-believers stance. Just simply to like kind of help reposition like and reframe like, okay, yeah, maybe I am like debating theology a little bit too much here and like falling too deep into their territory, if you will.
Oh, well, that's why I have my conversations like you do. I don't have the what's in the Bible, what's the script say. I mean, I might go up on the panels, but that's not what my lives are. My lives are about what does Christianity do? How do we get around it? How do we
Right.
move forward? What's its, that kind of thing.
And my allies haven't gotten ops in months. I just have everybody in the community coming over and saying, "Hey, Fen, what are we doing today?"
Yeah, I think my op just left. Otto,
No.
come back. But I think that was a very good, like, important thing to discuss, like, as a community of people that are like trying to deconstruct, over like on the Deconstruction Junction YouTube page, like people that are wondering like what is this Deconstruction Junction is about, it's just critically thinking about these kind of things and deconstructing indoctrination away from like, truth. So yeah, with that, you guys are more than welcome to stay up, but I think we are gonna like move on to a new topic, or we do have somebody else here, so I'm gonna talk to them. TJ.
Oh, I was. Yeah, what's going on?
Quick, just a real quick. Can I get?
Yeah,
your
I'm
age?
over 18. I'm 20.
Okay, you're
20.
What brings you up?
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of add on to what y'all were saying about deconstruction and everything. As someone that's kind of been going through that whole process, I think another thing that doesn't really get mentioned, I know it's like, we want to talk about indoctrination and how folks are educated and whatnot, but I think it's also like a great fear of like, losing relationships and community and friends and whatnot. That also plays a huge factor in this.
Yeah.
And in a lot of places where I see people, teaching deconstruction or whatnot, it doesn't seem like it's, like one of the bigger issues that gets touched on. And I think it's a big deal because, I'm studying religion in undergrad right now. And, I just, we tackle a lot of these issues. And a lot of folks, just ignore it. They don't want to hear it, right? Even if they have to engage with it and talk about it, it's just, they don't really want to, like fully submerge into it and have these discussions. It's like, I'll just do what I got to do to get through the class and move on.
Yeah.
And I think for some people, it's like, is this moment of enlightenment where it's like, oh, my whole upbringing and whatnot, I could shatter it right now if I, continue down this journey. Is that for everybody? I think it's easy for people that have deconstructed, that, are atheists or agnostic, to think, yeah, for sure, it's worth doing. But I think for some people that brings about some serious crisis in their life and whatnot.
So
here's some unrepentant, what do you call it? Self-aggrandizing here. So I'm an atheopagan. So I don't know if do you know what secular Jewish people are?
I mean, I don't know if I could give an exact definition, but I feel like I have an idea of what you might mean when you say that.
There's an entire community of Jewish people that still do the practices. They still do the bar mitzvahs. They still do all the rituals and traditions, but they don't believe Yahweh exists. I do the same thing with paganism, Norse paganism specifically. And there's a growing movement within Europe itself. I read an article years back about Christians doing this as well. They go to church, they still do the communion, they still do the tradition because they enjoy it and they like the community, but they don't believe in God anymore, or Jesus in terms of like, being the Son of God. You don't have to give up the community and the culture if that's what you like. Completely. You can still practice these things if they are enjoyable to you and they bring you pleasure or meditation or whatever else you want to put to it, and just get rid of all the supernatural beliefs.
And TJ, actually, I do have something on another side of that. There is sections of the community that do talk about these things. The problem is like the most of them and most of the mainstream ones, they don't, because fact of the matter is, that's a super challenging topic that is often best left to those who are experiencing it, as well as those who know how to navigate through it, like professionally. And there's actually, crisis or something after faith. There's an organization that gets you help after you lose your faith, how to deal with it, how to talk to your family. I cannot remember the name of it though.
Well, there's recovering from religion. Like that's
it. Recovering from religion. That's one.
Well, like, let me jump in real quick. So, like, I created this Discord that is largely known to be like Justin Deconstruction Zone's Discord, but it's actually mine. And that's the Deconstruction Junction like Discord, and I created that simply to like help foster the community aspect of like non-believers, because I agree that there is this fear of losing that community that keeps people within the church where they may not even like believe at all. But I think that like what Fenrir was saying, that it is possible for maybe like after deconstructing a little bit that they can, you know, still be a part of their church communities, but I don't know if their church communities will take them in. And I think that's a step that Christians would have to take overall.
If they go through the motions, they don't have to necessarily say they believe or don't believe. They can just, most people aren't going to question that if they're still going through the motions.
Right, but you should be able to.
And also, to be fair, there are Christian churches that actually don't care, like the Anglicans, for example, or
and like
the Unitarians. Like there are Christians. There are Christian sects that are perfectly okay with you being atheist and still doing the practice.
But yeah, I think you're hitting on a really good like point though, TJ. Like there is a need for community when it comes to people that are trying to deconstruct, and the like best thing that I could think of like right now, like we have like over 6,000 people in that Discord, largely due to, you know, like large people that are streaming, and it's also why I'm streaming right now, is to keep the Discord paid for, as far as like bots and everything, in the YouTube channel that I'm running this on, which is Deconstruction Junction. Also the Discord is discord.gg/deconjct if you're interested. And yeah, it's just we're trying. I think that it's a slow thing, but I would like,
Benny,
you know,
I got a question for you.
I would like to like move it to where there's physical places where people can meet up, right? Like, so it's not all just online. But yeah, go on.
But that's just recreating the same thing.
I know.
We don't want people to be religious, because we already have this as derisive rhetoric from these people who believe in ancient superstitions. Science is a religion. Science is this. Science is a cult. Like they already point their finger at universities. They point their finger at whenever scientists get together to discuss some of the things that scientists discuss. I don't think we need more of that. I think we need less of it. I think it's going to happen naturally, obviously, when people have a common understanding of a topic and they have a common knowledge of a topic, but also they invite everybody in the entire world to have that knowledge. But it just so happens that there's a certain amount of people who have an expertise and they meet in a specific place. You know, we should like respect it, but we shouldn't like turn it into the same thing as a church.
Yeah.
Like we have a lot of work to do in this world. Like we still have a Vatican. We've never gotten off this subject. The Vatican is an international criminal organization, in my opinion. They've been hiding. They've been complicit in hiding, like an international child abuse ring.
Oh yeah.
To be honest, and criminals. The human race will never reach the point where we can say we have to address this, and that's the exact same reason why we have a president who's a fucking white-collar criminal fraud. And other countries have the same. And I'm not saying this as a partisan political person.
Right. No, I get what you're saying.
It's very fucking frustrating.
I'm not necessarily
I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah, but I think that there still should be a landing pad for people that are like trying to leave the faith. I think that's only helping the direction. Like as far as like turning it into its own church, like I'm very aware of that. You know, like I know what I'm doing, at least when it comes to like building the community with a number of people. Like these are people that are very much, not wanting to join a church, but they still want a community, right? Like they want people to talk to consider themselves, part of this, like community. It's just like any kind of like Discord for a fandom or a social club. It doesn't have to necessarily be a church.
I mean, and I feel like the Unitarian Universalists have kind of done that, at least where I'm at. There is sort of like, it looks like basically a pretty large church where people get together and meet people of, all different faiths, agnostic, atheist, Buddhist, whatever. But I do agree with you, host, that like I do think people want that space where they can come together, meet, talk about life issues, talk about how to raise our kids, things like that. I also think, though, in terms of like the direction of, Christianity and people deconstructing, I don't know if I hold as optimistic as a view as you guys, just because, I feel like in the late 19th century, you had Darwinism, you had critical biblical scholarship develop, and these things that you would think, hit the scene and we would start seeing some sharp improvement. It just hasn't been the case. And even in a place now where anyone can, access this information, we have discussions with people and they're just not willing to listen. I think that the fight is really in the early education that people get. And I worry because, there are places out there like Liberty and, charter schools and all these places. I mean, there is so much money being poured into those systems that are cranking people out.
Exactly what I said earlier. Thank you for bringing that back up.
And I mean, it's really hard for people that have spent their whole life thinking one way to really step outside of that. It's just in our education system by default doesn't teach people to think open-mindedly and to look at different perspectives. It doesn't do that across the board. It doesn't do that.
Yes, it does. I mean, a lot of it does. And we try to fund the places where we think it would do the best in doing that. But we live in we try to hold on to these secular beliefs and call them beliefs to give everybody a chance. But some of that money, a lot of that money, actually, I live in the southern half of the United States, not going to tell you where, but in that southern half, a lot of the money goes to institutions that have been brainwashing children for decades, and they own land, and they haven't paid property taxes on that land for decades. And now a lot of these cities are struggling, and for some reason the citizenry is like asking why. Right? Because they don't want to go over this ideological hurdle. It's because you have this institution that has been sucking money out of your society for so many years. And this is why, like, that's a real issue. And we don't address that issue. We have rhetorical conversations all day long in this app. That's a real fucking issue for many cities. How do we bridge that gap? How do you?
It's a good question.
You want to make these people deconstruct? How? How do you do that? You convince them they're being ripped off by who? By their preacher? They still believe in the afterlife. They still believe that if they tithe 10%, they're gonna, to this mega church that owns 5 acres of land, they're gonna go to heaven. Like this is something you can't vote away. This is something you can't argue away. In my opinion,
literally, education is the only way that works.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. I think the problem is that there, like you said, all that money is being dumped into institutions that are teaching people from a young age that, it's not okay to question. It's obedience to a certain set of rules and doctrines and dogmas, and you just accept that for face value, right? And I mean, like I said, like Liberty being like a big example I give. I mean, They literally have teachings that are contradictory to modern day mainstream science.
Yeah, that's
that
wild.
We know to be true. I mean, and this place has tons of people going to their school, and they are up there among have the most endowment money out of almost any university in the United States. So I mean, you think about things like that, and you're just like, well, what are you gonna do? I mean, if you don't have the money to overcome that, and I don't know. And then my fear is that small, I don't know if you sects or whatever of like deconstruction people that, you know, practice deconstruction are trying to spread that message. I mean, I just don't know how far it's going to go before, you know, there's someone that comes and crushes it. I mean, you know, their movements come to a halt sometimes.
Okay. I think that, like, to Knuckles' point, what I would say is that, like, part of the, like, discussing theology and stuff that I think that, like, for instance, like Deconstruction Zone Justin does really well, which has been getting a lot of people to, you know, deconstruct. And it's like usually a lot of times it's the first step is pointing out things like Jesus didn't fulfill any prophecies, right? And like that, it does take some knowledge of the theology to prove that to people. And then once you do have that, like, pretty well-based knowledge in it, it's not hard to a lot of them. Now there's some that are just beyond, you know, helping at that moment, at least. And,
ignorance.
But like a lot of them will be like, damn, you know, he's right. Like, and I think that people that pick up on that and can also try and help, like, kind of spread that, like, message. I think that that's like a really big one that didn't hit when like people like Hitchens and Dawkins and stuff were around. They were kind of doing the more like philosophical, like, does God exist kind of stuff. Where
Hitchens also took it for granted. I mean, he said he would say you have to prove Jesus was real before you can talk about his divinity, because he didn't have the patience to talk about the theology, because it's like arguing with a Harry Potter believer whether or not Harry Potter was more powerful than Snape or what have you. Like it's a fool's errand.
I don't think it's a fool's errand. I see. I would disagree with Hitchens there, because I've seen the results. I've seen thousands of people that have like they will attribute their deconstruction, their non-belief to Justin.
Yeah. No, I understand, but they will also might double down in other part of the story and just say, well, now this refutes what he said, so I'm just going to believe in this. I'm going to create my own theology. That's exactly what happens.
I'm not like necessarily trying to like get them to drop their religion, but I think that, like, just opening up their eyes a little bit helps.
Yeah.
Like to think about it critically at all, like to even like get them to even like fucking read the book.
No, I hear you, but
Knuckles. When I do my lives,
we're not categorizing this literary work properly. We categorize other literary works properly before it. We talk about the Epic of Gilgamesh as fiction, to a certain degree, right? 98%. Maybe there were certain who cares? Sorry, 90% fiction.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the writings about Thor or what have you. There's
like the Greek myths,
thousands
like the
Acropolis
exists.
Thousands of gods. Right. I mean, you understand what I'm saying, right? So, so instead of saying, hey, listen, you're taking your lessons from an ancient Bronze Age like Marvel DC universe, we're trying to go inside of their world and say, well, you're wrong because this theology says this. And I think that's a fool's errand. He makes money doing it, but it's still a fool's errand. It's not helping the conversation. It's not helping the world break out of it. No.
But look,
you don't see what I see, dude. You don't see what I see on behind the curtains. You definitely don't.
And Knuckles for myself, like, I don't care if people have a religion. I care if they have a supremacy narrative. I've said this before.
Every religion has a supremacy narrative.
No, they do not.
Unless they want to apply some kind of like God of the gaps, like, oh, well, I read this verse and that doesn't appeal to supremacy narratives, so I have my own theology about it. That's why I said what I said about personal theologies.
I'm okay with personal theologies.
Well, but that's like personally making your own opinion about why Harry Potter is the greatest wizard of all. Like,
sure, but as long as that belief, wait, Knuckles, as long as that belief about Harry Potter doesn't like vote for me.
But it does.
Hey, buddy,
that's why you have the
I've been letting you go on this whole time. Let me finish a statement. Thank you. So I don't give a shit if somebody cares if Harry Potter exists. I care if they're going out and voting that me and my boyfriend shouldn't be together.
But they have been, and they do in
But
certain
no,
states.
if you don't have those supremacy narratives, that doesn't happen. There
They
are plenty
do
of
have-
Christians.
Do you not live in the U.S.?
There are plenty of Christians who do not vote that way because they do not have that supremacy.
So you're
narrative.
just happy in the state you live in with the people who
Yeah,
vote
New York
the way
is
you
the
want
best
them
state
to
in the
vote?
Union.
New York is
Yes, New York, the
New York.
empire, indeed.
Yeah, I was born there. Like dude, it's getting worse. It's going to get worse. So I don't know. Like, what do you mean, dude? Everybody has these supremacy narratives. Israel claims to be secular, but they still have this supremacy narrative. It's a cultural supremacy narrative, which is based on an ancient superstition that land is divinely assigned. But we don't discuss that. We stop at that wall and we say, well, people have the right to believe what they want to believe about where they are. What the fuck ever, dude. This is
So
we're beyond the pale
Knuckles,
of this conversation.
what would you
beyond the fucking
suggest
pale.
then? What would you suggest?
What would I suggest about how to fix all of this?
Yeah.
Oh, well, shit. I mean, the first thing we can do is start putting white-collar criminals in fucking prison, but then we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have this fucking president. Elon Musk would probably be in fucking prison. We should probably. I mean, and then you're gonna call me a communist. I mean, a lot of this all feeds into how we run a government in the U.S. The U.S. has been fascist ever since Reagan, when he shook hands with Jerry Falwell. We started believing this entire thing about trickle-down economics. Now we're talking about like inflation of prices, and everybody thinks it has something to do with costs, but really it has something to do with the people who own these companies wanted to keep a certain profit margin. Like, there's a lot involved.
I would agree.
All these beliefs feed into all of that.
I would agree that magical thinking that does feed into just accepting.
It's a very complicated problem.
Things with blind faith, and I also agree with that. That's why I was asking you like what your like suggestion for a solution or what have you would be.
I just told you.
Right,
we need
right.
to drop this fundamentalist liberal idea that deregulating economics is the way to make an economic system thrive. That's failed. It's failed here. So how do you bridge the gap between what we're talking about in religion to what I just said? I'm not really sure. I guess, but
because I think part of the statehood and like its connection to Christianity isn't even like so. Like a lot of people that are like "Make America Great Again" type of Christian, they haven't even like ever looked at what like even would make a Christian or even like look. I mean, Trump says they ask him what his favorite verses are and stuff, and he's like, I don't know, all of them. But yet they're held to this like weird like Christian parallel where I think that's helpful for places and people like Elon Musk and the Heritage Foundation and maybe like somewhat like masked private interest to like use that blind faith tactic and relate things. And I think this does go back to Reagan and even
it's called American fascism.
Yeah,
this is
like
a pillar of fascism.
What was that other guy's name? There was the guy that helped like create the Heritage. Well, yeah, Jerry Falwell. That's a good. There was another guy, but Jerry Falwell's a really good like.
Pat Robertson.
Yeah, I mean him too. No, there was there's this like chief of staff or something that helped with the Heritage Foundation and kind of helped Falwell and Pat Robertson and all of them like fall in line together. And to get us where we are right now, I think recognizing like these things, the connections that you're pointing out is very important because, and I think that's a good like thing to help like introduce to people that are deconstructing, like, hey, this goes beyond just whether or not does Jesus exist or something. This is like, this is like straight up like blind faith tactics and getting people to do it so they're easier like taken advantage of. Their votes are co-opted because of abortion, where abortion's like hardly even mentioned. It's not even really mentioned in their like scripture. So Like, why are they so like? Why is this suddenly it's such a Christian thing to have such an opinion on abortion when it's like it's not in there? That's because it was co-opted by the Reaganites and Falwell and it was used as a wedge issue to split people and to get them to vote a certain way and then relate it to their religion, and then they don't question it because it's the blind faith part. And I think that connecting all of these dots is part of like that deconstruction.
But this is a puzzle that none of us can do here on this app. Like, this is a giant puzzle.
Well, and I don't want to I don't like to throw my hands up though. Like, I think it's still worth to get on the front lines and do it. It might seem like a fool's errand in the end, but like when you have hundreds of people telling you like every day, like this has really opened my eyes. Like I honestly, like I've always had doubts, but I've never had anything like cement it. Like, this live that I was listening to, or so-and-so said this one thing. Like all it sometimes takes is just like that little trigger for people to be like, oh shit. Yeah. Like what the hell? I don't even know any of the prophecies. Yeah, go on.
Just gotta let you know. I wanted to leave. I needed to leave. Sorry, I gotta go walk my dogs.
Hey, I appreciate you coming up.
Also, really quick, do you mind a self plug real fast?
Go right ahead.
All right. Well, tonight, everybody, I am running a session 0 for a D&D, probably 2 or 3 shot, depending on how crazy these players are. All of the players are people from the community around us. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to get a bunch of atheists and pagans together to run it. Oh, and one Catholic, to be fair, to play a D&D game together and learn how to DM and learn how to play D&D. Come on around 10:30, 11 o'clock. That's what we're doing on Fenrison's Live.
Fenrison over on TikTok, right?
Yep.
I didn't know if you were casting anywhere else like Twitch or
Nah. We're gonna try to do this on TikTok. See how it works.
Cool.
Dugald, it's been too long, brother. Benny, lovely to see you again.
We'll talk
to. Oh, bye, Nick. As you come up.
Well, you're leaving now, so I can.
See, one pagan for another. Gotcha. Well, that's a good trade. All right. See you guys later.
Gotta keep it easy.
Yeah. See ya. This has been a bit of a different day. I like this though. I like this discussion, honestly. Nick, what's up? How's it going, friend?
It's going. How are you?
I'm good. What brings you up? Trying to get in on this.
So I just wanted to add the debating the deep theology. It works. So I've been debating the deep theology of Christianity for the better part of 5 years now. And I have pulled a lot of people into deconstruction because of it. And I haven't, out of those people, they didn't start building their own belief systems. They didn't start building their own theologies. But, at the end of the day, not all of them became atheist either. They just hold to, there is still a creator. But a prime example, there was a woman not too long ago that came up on Crystal's Live when I was on the panel, and she said she was a Christian that blocked me. And she said the reason why she blocked me is because I got way too real. And the reason why she came up on the panel is because she wanted to let us know that she was now deconstructing. The deep theology debates work. Now, sometimes the people you're debating on the panel, it's useless. It's never going to happen. It's more so for the people that are listening. We have younger generations of Christians coming into our lives and listening, and we're answering the questions that they want to ask their pastors or their parents, but their pastors and parents are like, oh, you need to have faith. You can't be asking questions. We're answering those questions while we're talking to those people on the panels. It works.
Yeah, and I get what you mean, Knuckles. Like, it's tiring. And I like, in response to that, I would just say, like, you don't have to subject yourself to like circular.
But this is also I'm not an academic on that subject. So this is like a I'm admitting I fail in that area. Like, no worries.
Well,
Good
no
for
one
you.
said you
Do
had
that
to
work.
do it.
Good that work. Yeah, no, do that work. Like, it's important. I'm not trying to diminish the work
I totally
that
get
you
what you
all
mean
do.
though. Like the
Like, yeah, okay.
frustration and like the just like being
yeah, please.
over
I'm
it.
not trying to disrespect y'all. Like, I feel like I can say you are all in my community at
Right.
that point. Like, yeah. So whatever. All right.
No, like I get it. Like I totally get it. And like I hear it from people that are very close even, you know, where it's like, yeah, just it's tough. And yeah, it's circular and repetitive, sometimes very frustrating. It's even like hard to even come up with like new conversations, which is why I'm kind of liking this conversation, honestly. But yeah.
Something else I wanted to mention too, though, is because there was a discussion about the Christians that aren't part of the supremacy part of Christianity and why aren't they using their voices. And I can tell you, it's because when they come up on panels to try and use their voices, the moment our people find out they're Christians, we shut them down.
That's another
why.
thing too. Like
we need to stop shutting down the good ones.
Yeah, it's that's where the internal like thing happens, because you know that like it's hard for me. Like well, it's not really too hard for me, honestly, but like I do sometimes think of like, okay, this person is a good Christian, but like overall they may actually believe that I'm like gonna burn eternally for just like being gay, and like that sucks. And like it almost makes me want to not continue like that like same type of friendship as I would like with a non-believer. But I don't let it bother me as much as it probably should.
There's more and more Christians every day waking up to the realization there is no actual concept of hell.
That's true.
I mean, that's
though.
one of my biggest points that I debate. So more
That's
and more
a good
Christians
point.
are just like, I don't know, there is no hell. That's just, it was mistranslation. So that's another reason why I do the deep theology stuff, you know, because the more they're educated, the more they're going to make good choices.
Yeah. Trombone man, just and Philbo. Sorry, I almost just said Philbro. Trombone man first. Can I get your age real quick?
Oh yeah, I'm 19.
And then Philbo, can I get your age?
6.
Okay. Trombone, what were you? What brings you on?
Yeah, well, I mean, I came up initially to talk about the third prompt, but I kind of want to respond to something that was said. Like just a few that was said like while I was waiting, like in the queue, I guess. But on the first of all, on like the like I think someone mentioned abortion, for example. It's been an issue that was like co-opted in like the Reaganite era with like people like Jerry Falwell and like Robert Patterson, people like that within evangelical like, circles in America. And there is some truth to that, but the origins of Christianity being like against abortion is like pretty old. Like it's as old like as the 1st to 2nd century. Like we can go to the Didache, the writings of Irenaeus, and there were Christians that were already pretty like actively against abortion.
Yeah, are you familiar with the origins of abortion in the United States? Because in the 1800s, in the 1800s, there was a fight by white Christian doctors, quote unquote doctors, to take over the practice of abortion that has been happening, like you said, for decades, centuries, in order to make it safer. And it was a misogynistic movement in many ways. And it was part of the movement that was that contributed to the formation of the American Medical Association. Like early Christians in the United States drew the line at abortion at the quickening. The quickening was when like you could feel the baby kicking, which honestly is very late. It's very late, right? So like our modern understanding of abortion, we don't even like accept that. So we've gone, So like like what you said is just wrong, bro.
What about what I said? I'm talking about. I'm not talking about early American Christians. I'm talking about
yes, you are.
early. I'm talking about early.
Because
like,
they believed in the
Christian.
early first. They believed in that theology. They were.
Yeah, no,
they
I'm
were
talking like
Christians.
you can look at, for example, in the Didache. Like in the Didache, this is one of like the first.
Yeah,
like,
they had some kind of like chemical or whatever substance that you would drink to force the woman into an abortion when the man wanted. When the man wanted.
Are you talking about like the Levitical passage? Because that passage is
yeah, the bitter herbs and what have you. I mean, this is not a new argument.
Dude, you have to let me speak. Like
but
what
this is not a new argument.
what I
You're not having this argument with me. This is not a new argument.
Okay, well, you let me speak. What I specifically addressed is not merely like American evangelical Christianity, or like Protestant Christians in the 18th century.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah, I'm saying that we have texts like the Didache, which specifically outline a stance against abortion, and these are like late.
What do you mean?
At least
abortion?
late first century to early second century.
I would say like the abortion.
They are obviously pretty.
Abortion then and abortion now are completely different things. This is
sure. My point is like there are differences. Obviously, my point is there is a continuity within Christianity, within like apostolic Christianity of opposition to abortion.
Can somebody
it's not
pull
a
that
new
up
concept.
about the bitter herbs? Can somebody look that up?
I can pull up the passage myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
The passage does not say the woman is pregnant.
What do you think that is? What do you think that is?
The passage never says woman is pregnant in the passage.
Are you Is this
it never says she's
fucking
pregnant.
joke? Is this a joke?
It never says she's pregnant.
It's
just to induce infertility.
This is a joke. These
not
are
to
the
end the
people
pregnancy.
we shouldn't take seriously. Whatever.
Okay, this is just ad hom. First of all, not engage what I'm saying. The passage never mentions pregnancy.
Not an ad hom. I specifically reference certain things that are in your own book.
If she were pregnant, if she were guilty, she'd be pregnant, right? And it does say it does say like her womb is emptied, right? And then then she becomes barren.
It says her womb swells.
If she were okay, hold on, everybody.
It says it swells.
So let me so this is a bit of the theology debate though, but like when it comes to like if she were pregnant, that would be an abortion.
Yeah, and the passage never mentions a pregnancy.
But if she were,
okay,
the passage isn't specific to one person.
The passage is obviously not about a pregnancy. To say it's an abortion is false.
The passage is a prescription, right? Like it's a law that is saying like if you don't trust a woman and she you think that she's like slept with somebody, then you can do this whole bitter waters thing. And if she were pregnant at the time, it would like end that pregnancy.
In the same way, in the same way stoning an adulterous woman, in the same way stoning an adulterous woman, in the same way stoning an adulterous. Okay, allow me to respond.
It ends the pregnancy. It ends the pregnancy.
It would end the pregnancy.
It's an ancient Plan B pill.
Oh my God! You have to let me. It is not. It is not. We can read the passage.
You dumb apologist, motherfucker!
Holy moly!
You're
just calling me an apologist.
Hey, Knuckles.
But
Knuckles,
hold on,
Trump.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I can't.
Trump, hold on a second.
Nick is basically a mod here, so just let Nick do some moddy stuff.
Okay.
Knuckles, I get it's frustrating, but can we please keep the ad homs to a minimal?
It's not an ad hom, but yes, okay.
When you're calling somebody a dumb motherfucker and stuff, yeah, it is. Like, let's not do that.
Well, that's not my whole argument, but yes, agreed. I'm sorry.
Man, here's the thing. I think the difference here is, yes, we understand that there is a tradition in Christianity that is opposed to abortion that goes back to, what'd you say, the Didache? Right. But the difference is nowadays you have Christians actively using legislation to prevent.
Christians did that in the 3rd century as well.
Before the 70s and 80s, the like stance on the stand. Hold on, you gotta let the host at least talk. Okay, you can't talk over people when they're already talking. All right, and what I'm trying to tell you is that before like the 70s and 80s, then like there wasn't this hard stance that like that you see like with the the people at colleges with like these like graphic pictures and they use these like very weird like tactics, like going outside of Planned Parenthood and like shaming people and all of these things.
Benny,
That wasn't happening
in the
true.
60s. That's true. Like in America, like evangelicals, they didn't really have that much of an issue with abortion until very recently. That's obviously true. No one's denying that. What I'm saying,
that's what we're talking about. Like we understand this whole like sanctity of life bullshit.
My point is, I'm talking about American Christianity is not all of Christianity.
You can't talk over people. What I'm telling you is that we recognize what you're talking about, like sanctity of life and what have you. But what they were talking about in the first century is nothing. Like to try and compare the two is wild. And like part of like what Knuckles was bringing up, like this is frustrating to talk to people that aren't able to make this distinguishment between like first century abortions and modern day like healthcare.
Okay, I agree with you that they were very different. Like one of the main motivations, the primary motivations usually for abortions in the Roman era, was like fathers that didn't want to have female children, or like the line between abortion in the Roman era and just infanticide outright was very blurry, to be honest. Like a lot of times infanticide was basically done instead of an abortion. It was a blurry line, to be totally honest, in that time period. I understand the differences. I'm not saying that they are comparable or that they are the same sort of thing. What I'm saying is that the continuity of being anti-abortion in principle is something that pre-exists the 1970s. It's something that is very ancient. It's not something that just came about like a couple decades ago.
But what we were discussing, was not, that wasn't in relation to what you're bringing up right now, right? Like, so what Knuckles and I were discussing.
Wrong,
what am I wrong on?
This is what I was trying to tell you. Abortion was legal up until the time of quickening in the 18th century, the 19th
in America,
century, right? The
sure.
1800s. Yes, because these were Christian, these were American Christians.
That were Protestants. I'm talking about the Roman world. Abortion was banned. Like one of the first things, like when the Christian emperors took place, when the Christian emperors gained power, like after Constantine, one of the main things they did was ban abortion and infanticide.
I have no idea. I thought you were talking.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Whatever, bro.
Like after, like when Christianity got power in the emperor, they banned infanticide and abortion. That was one of the first things they did.
They banned. I doubt it. I doubt that.
Just read history, dude. What?
Read history.
Hey, Grana.
Read Roman history. What?
Yeah. Give me a fucking source. I'll go read it.
Well, hold on.
Actually, you know what? I'll just Google it. Whatever.
Yeah, Google it. The Christian emperors banned abortion and infanticide. They did this.
Okay.
It's obviously true.
We've hit a stopping point. Let's let Grana, because Grana wanted to come up and to say something.
Hope you don't mind. First of all, we can't hear four people at once. So please, maybe if you're not speaking, if you mute up, it'll give you a second or two to realize if someone's still speaking. When you unmute, you don't have to, but that's just a suggestion. And I just wanted to correct a misspeak here. That remember the morning after pill does not cause an abortion. All it does is coat the eggs. Yeah, all it does. Well, some people don't know. That's why I'm saying it. All it does is coat the eggs so that a sperm can't get into the egg. But if it's already gone in, it does not abort that. That's why it only works for a few days. So just wanted to make sure that there was no miscommunication about that, because some people think it is, and then they don't want to take it, and it's like, no, it does not cause an abortion.
Yeah,
so
I think that Knuckles was trying to more or less like try to frame it as something modern that would be akin to it. But yeah, you're right.
That comparison would the comparison between like Plan B and the Old Testament like description there is probably more accurate than saying it's an abortion, because what it's supposed to induce is infertility. It's not supposed to induce the end of pregnancy.
No, not according. It says the exact words. It says there's our forced miscarriage. It will cause
on what translation? KJV doesn't say that, and a lot of other translations don't.
I mean,
it's because the word used is miscarriage.
Would you
it
deny?
Just depends on translation. Okay. I think the translations call it a miscarriage.
You're very, very earnest.
You didn't have a word for abortion, so
yeah. Trombone, you're very earnest.
I said miscarriage, not abortion. We had a word for miscarriage for a very long time. What do you mean?
Okay.
No, they didn't have a word for abortion.
I know. I never claimed miscarriage. They did.
it says like her thigh falls out, you know, like it's Hebrew. Who knows how to like translate it perfectly? Nobody. So
I would say probably most scholars
okay,
would say
calm
it's
down.
not
I
from
wasn't
the-
done talking. You can't deny that if the woman was pregnant, if she took the bitter waters and it does what it says in the scripture, that the pregnancy would terminate, right?
Okay, do you think?
Would you say no,
Sure,
that her
in principle,
pregnancy
that's
would
possible.
continue?
In the same way that if a woman is stoned to death under like Levitical law, the pregnancy would be ended if she was stoned to death for adultery. That doesn't necessarily entail and like a support for abortion. It doesn't necessarily entail that.
But for adultery, it had to be both people, or they couldn't do it. It had to.
Sure, yes. But my point is, if the woman was stoned to death for that and she was pregnant, the child might die. Generally, if they knew she was pregnant, they probably wouldn't stone her to death. To be
completely honest,
and if they knew she was pregnant in this situation, they might not give her the
But
potion.
how did they know any of this if they had no knowledge of the same knowledge we have? What's the focus?
They didn't know. They didn't have a good way to know.
Right.
Wait, what do you call it?
They were Bronze Age.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't have a functional way to know this.
So that's why we're calling it abortion.
Right.
It isn't really abortion. Abortion entails an intent to end the pregnancy.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it's miscarriages can actually be considered an abortion.
Well, okay.
It's the ending of a pregnancy.
Are you saying the bitter waters was not intent?
There's a specific language to use.
Right. The scripture never says when it has to be called. It could be 2 months later when he knows she's pregnant that he wants to see if it's his or not.
Right.
It never says
Look,
when.
my point is what the point of the intent of this ritual, this ceremony being done is not to entail the end of a pregnancy. It's to entail.
There's still contradictions beyond the bitter waters. Okay, like I'm going to talk over you just because you've done it like multiple times to me. There's still contradictions beyond the bitter waters, right? Like there's the people like sacrificing children. There's literally like Jesus. I mean, like these are like a post-birth, I guess, but still, I would say it's no less sanctimonious of life. There's decrees, commands to like, you know, take virgins. There's, you know, unalive all of the children. There's all kinds like over and over and over and over again. So this idea that pro-life is a thing and that like it is a strictly Christian thing, it doesn't make sense to me because I don't see it when I read these older scriptures. Like I don't see where the sanctity of life is being like held. Maybe to early Christians and Irenaeus and stuff, they may have had like don't infanticide or whatever, but I would say that is almost probably not based in Christianity. Like just because a Christian leader may be talking about it doesn't necessarily make it strictly Christian. So
you don't
where in the scripture
is traditionally associated with Christianity since the beginning of its existence, like since the first century of its existence. This is something that is like almost.
I'm saying that like
it's not inherently part of
foundationally, God does not have a sanctity of life.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about like the Old Testament passages, like the Amalekites, like the conquest of Canaan, I mean, I don't even think these events took place.
I mean, Yahweh.
I don't think there was a conquest of Canaan. I don't think
Yahweh unalives people for like not carrying
these things didn't happen. There was no conquest of Canaan. The historical record shows
somebody didn't spill his seed and he kind of like lied to God and he lost his life. You know, like.
Well, okay. I'm referring specifically to like the conquest of Canaan.
Like life is nothing to Yahweh.
They weren't events that actually took place. The conquest of Canaan did not happen. So if you're going to invoke that didn't even happen historically.
That's a you problem and other Christian problem. Like that is not up to me whether or not it happened or not. But I'm just saying scripturally, I don't see it. I mean, like people try and quote like First Jeremiah or whatever, like Jeremiah chapter 1:5, is saying like, oh, God knew you when you were being stitched in the womb, and it's like that's a reach. You know, because there's like a ton of other scripture that just destroys this idea that life is this like precious thing. Because honestly, like even in the Christian sense, like beyond the Old Testament life, this physical fleshy life is a curse. And honestly,
Well,
like to
there are a few reasons.
not
A lot of this
purposely, I guess, like send yourself to hell or whatever, then everybody should be pushing themselves to get to heaven quicker.
A lot of this is presupposing like American Protestant
No,
like
not
views.
at all.
Allow me to
It's
speak,
an
dude. Allow me to
ancient
speak.
death
I,
cult.
dude,
No,
holy shit, you're
dude,
genuinely.
stop.
You
Stop.
can't
It's an
immediately jump
ancient
someone when
death
you've
cult.
said like 2 words, dude. This is crazy. Like,
Bro,
what?
you've said enough.
Yeah.
But it's an
Okay,
ancient death cult.
dude,
It is.
are you gonna be genuine or just do this ad hom? I'm trying to have a conversation every time.
This is not an ad
Intentionally, you're
hom.
trying to
I
derail.
didn't say anything about you
the dialogue I'm
personally.
trying to.
This is the Christian religion amongst all of the ancient superstitious beliefs are ancient death cults.
Cool.
Even if they
I'm glad you have that opinion. Will you let me speak? I
Yeah,
didn't
well,
know you believe that.
well,
You
So
can
hold on.
keep reading
actually,
it. It's not proving the point.
That's not
hold
a
on, Trump.
ad hom. So
Trump.
It's just not even. It's a non sequitur.
Trump.
It's genuinely a non
Trump.
sequitur.
You fucking idiot.
Can you just allow me to respond?
Trump.
All right, Knuckles,
Okay.
I have to back him
I'm gonna
up.
drop a few people here. Phil, are you for or like are you in opposition or not? I'm just gonna clear up a few friendlies.
I'd say I'm an atheist.
Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming up. I just want to make sure that we aren't like it's just we're having a tough time not talking over each other. So I'm just trying to clear up the panel a
you're
little
good,
bit.
man.
You're more than welcome if we get into another discussion like about what we were talking about. But thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, go on.
So Trump, actually, I have to back up what he was saying. The history of Christianity, it had literally started as a mystery apocalyptic cult. Jesus was an apocalyptic preacher, which was not uncommon for that era. Lots of apocalyptic preachers were popping up because
I'm well aware of
the
this.
heinous. Okay, so when we talk about apocalyptic
Look, you don't need to
preachers
tell
and
me. I know the
literature,
history of this. This is not something that I don't know
okay,
about.
so
But the
then
history, I
don't.
do
Please
Then why were
don't
you
over
tell?
talk.
Calm
Trombone.
down.
This is your last warning.
So you were arguing him though that it was an unalignment cult. What do you think happens in apocalyptic literature? It's about mass amounts of people unaliving.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you agreeing with me, but you were telling Knuckles he's wrong? If you know the history, then why are
What did
you
I tell him he was
disagreeing
wrong
with
about?
it?
What did I tell him he was wrong about?
That it was an unalignment cult.
You mean like? Well, it depends. Well, by unalivement cult, what you mean like? Because I want to be clear what you're saying. Are you saying like apocalypse? Because apocalyptic literature, like Revelations, like even some of the apocalyptic groups in like Judaism. I forget some of the groups, but outside of like the Pharisees and the Sadducees, there are other like groups that were related to like I think like John the Baptist, other groups of that nature. Sure, like these groups had visions of the end times being imminent and of like a lot of people unaliving and passing away. Like that's obviously true. But when people say unalivement cults, they aren't referencing just a belief in an apocalyptic future. They're talking about something like, I don't know, like Jonestown or Heaven's Gate, something that like entails that followers should do like harm to themselves in order to achieve some spiritual goal, which Christianity doesn't really say.
It does
Sure,
do
Christians
that
believe
though.
the end was near, but it didn't say you should unalive yourself in order to go
No,
to heaven.
but what happened with Christianity though, with those apocalyptic teachings, is Christianity has harmed itself, not only itself, but other people around the world, because while everybody else is trying desperately to fix this world, y'all are sitting there waiting to go to heaven because you believe that this world is temporary and heaven is the goal. And
Right.
that is where it also becomes an unalignment cult, because damned be humanity, it doesn't matter, I get to go to heaven.
Well,
Yeah, I would argue. I would argue
okay.
that
And I was-
Jesus even agrees with that sentiment. In the
on
New
the sentiment
Testament.
that the world is going to end soon.
Yeah, well, yeah, that.
Yeah, the historical Jesus probably did believe that. I don't see how that's necessarily relevant to saying that Christianity entails like nihilism about the present world and not doing anything. Just because you believe the world
was telling
is temporary.
people to not even get married. Like he
Yeah,
was
because
like
Paul
he
believed the
was
world was
like,
going
don't
to
get
end in his
married
lifetime.
because he also thought
Yeah,
that the world was ending. Like
I know that.
it
I'm
was
well aware of
definitely
this.
like a death cult. But
Well, that's not
I
what.
do have
Maybe we're
somebody
using the
else
terms
up,
differently.
and this has been a fun conversation, Trombone. But you're really just
So I still want to talk about the
not fun to
last topic.
talk
I didn't
to.
really come into. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe after this next conversation, I got somebody
Okay.
here. Silver Moon, are you there, Silver Moon? Is that you that's also
Yeah,
known as
you
right
hear
wing
me all right?
atheist?
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know
here.
if the guest will be able to hear you, but I just want to clear that up. Silver Moon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me all right? I'm here.
Let me see.
Hello?
Maybe I need to do something else here. Silver Moon, say something to me.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello. Hi.
All right. Is that you that's right wing atheist?
I wouldn't say right wing atheist. No. So I'm right wing. I struggle between. I was an atheist for 40 years of my life.
Oh,
The
okay.
last.
There was just somebody in the chat that was saying like, can we debate whether or not homosexuality is a defect? And they were going by the same right wing atheist. I didn't know if that was you. Okay, so first off, can I just get your age real quick?
Yeah, 47.
All right, and so what brings you on?
I just saw just your title on here. We should be woke. Supporting LGBT is good. USA is not found on Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
First two statements, 100% agree with. We should all be woke. We should be supporting LGBTQ. USA is not found on Christianity. That's what caught me. That's why I ringed in.
Okay.
And I'm trying to understand. I haven't been that part of the conversation for that long, so I'd rather hear you say why you think that is the case and me be able to respond.
Well, I don't see anything foundationally about America, neither in any of the legal documents or in like its foundation, like as an act that is Christian. I recognize. Hold on. I recognize that like Puritans and Protestants and Pilgrims, came over across the Atlantic and everything, and they, were largely Christian. I recognize that, and that, a lot of the people that were there, in the formation of America, they were Christian, but I don't see anything necessarily Christian about the foundation of of America. When it comes to the First Amendment, right? It says that no church or there should be no established religion. There's
on the federal level, but not on the state level. That was, so there are things that to me, like foundationally, the federal government said no federal religion, but there were state religions for a significant period of time during the beginning of our country.
My argument
that was done away with, and no longer is the case. But everything foundationally is every one of those states that was part of the federal government did have a state religion that was Christian.
Yeah, sure, and that's fine. What I'm talking about is the country, like not the 13 states that were.
But that's the country. The
13
states were the country. 13 states were the country.
Okay, so have you ever read the Treaty of Tripoli? Do you know what the Treaty of Tripoli Article 11's about?
Because I can't say I'm 100. I cannot say I'm 100%.
Okay. So 1796, it was a treaty between us and the Barbary Coast, who were Muslim, and John Adams and the Senate signed off on a copy of the Treaty of Tripoli that in Article 11, it says that America was not founded on Christianity in any sense. So why would the Senate, who all of these states are representatives of, or represented by, why would they sign off on that if that weren't true?
So I'm really trying to ask because I want to have a genuine a 1796 agreement between us and Tripoli that ended the seizure of American ships by Barbary pirates, securing safe passage in the Mediterranean in exchange for one-time payment and future trade rights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in it,
What?
a statement is made, a very clear
Yep.
statement
Yeah, and
that is
so it was
available.
ratified in 1797, famously Article 11, which stated that the U.S. government was not founded on Christianity and had no religious anonymity toward Muslims, a point often cited in discussions about the separation of church and state.
Right.
So, I mean, so we signed one thing that said we weren't Christian, but everything else we've done, for the most part, says we are Christian.
Yeah, and
how societally we act, how everything we've done.
What is Christian about what has been done? Because I would argue that those are based in Western philosophy. They're based in older traditions than Christianity. Like Judaism and even before then. Like the idea of like thou shalt not steal or schmurder, that has nothing to do with Christianity.
Yeah. So can I just I think maybe clear what you and I are talking about up pretty simply is that you're not looking at those things as necessarily Christian values. You're looking at that as just a good person or a good human being value.
Well, I would just say that America in its foundation, like foundationally, is a secular entity. It is secular in the fact that there is no established religion federally. And that's what I mean. Like, I don't care if all states said that Christianity is necessary to run for office, which not all states do. Maybe at one time they did, but they don't. And honestly, I think that it's almost anti-American to try and force that.
But they did at the founding.
I don't care. That has nothing to do with like the actual founding.
That they
no, like
the actual founding.
It might have been in parallel, and like it was contemporary to it, but it was not in any way like mentioned in the Constitution. It's not in the Declaration. It is not anything that is showing that like states can reflect our Christian values by upholding Christianity beyond the federal level. Like the Establishment Clause is very clear. And I think that even like a state to even try to enforce a religion would be unconstitutional still.
I question. I mean, so I'm not going to get into what his like Article 6 of the and Article 1. So prohibited religious tests and established religious liberty. So you look at it at the beginning at the founding. The 13 states were diverse. They were predominantly Protestant societies with strong Christian traditions. 13 of those states had a state religion.
Yeah, but
those 13 states make up the federal government.
Yeah.
So we can sit here and say
for how many, like for a couple of decades, sure. But what I'm saying is that like as a foundation, as like what America is built upon, like the actual framework, like of the, entity of America, not the history, like the actual framework of like what makes America the government itself. There is nothing Christian about that.
I will 100% agree with you that right now there's nothing Christian about our government.
Yeah, and I would agree that
going back 300 years, that's a different story. I mean, I think you and I can both agree to that. 300 years ago was a different story. Right now, 100%. There is zero Christianity in our government.
To make it Christian.
Not even argue with you about that. So, I just think it's interesting in general. Like, we got a lot of people out in the world with a lot of hate, a lot of disrespect, a lot of I'm right, you're wrong type thing. And I think just even me and you talking is a great point. You've got an opinion, I've got an opinion, but we can both sit here and have a common conversation. We're not screaming at each other. I'm not telling you you're wrong and you're not telling me I'm 100% wrong. Like it's nice to have this to see this.
Thank you.
I just got to say,
I appreciate that. Like, you're not the first person to say that, surprisingly, which has been good feedback. Because I do like to have a conversation that doesn't just end, like with anger and just like it didn't really get anywhere. Yeah,
and I'm gonna throw something
and
out
that's
there.
why I changed my wording, and maybe I need to change it again because I used to have this say USA is not a Christian country, but I could see where people could generalize it as a Christian country because a majority of people, like make up the population, and like even with the state part, like Christianity is very much part of the history, as much as I don't want to admit it, but I won't shy away from that, like truth. The thing though, like foundationally, like what I mean is like in the framework and everything it's a secular framework.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying 100%. And I get it. I would say mostly I agree. I mean, we could sit and go over semantics, but that's not the point of what I want to do.
Right.
What I'm really interested in is just supporting LGBTQ is good. 100% believe that. So me, myself, 47-year-old man, my partner, wife, we've been together 11 years. She was a lesbian before we got together, and have a wonderful relationship. But I just think more, I want to bring it up in the sense of, we were talking the other day, her and I said, we're in a heterosexual relationship. And she fucking lost it on me. And she's like, no, I'm still bi. And I said, well, hold on. I'm a man. You're a woman. We're in a relationship. That is a heterosexual relationship. That has nothing to do with your sexuality aside from me.
Right.
And I'm more curious hearing your point, maybe some others in the chat, whatever. I found it very interesting for her to be so defensive. What's that?
It's a category error. So like I would say that same-sex relationship or like not same-sex, I guess hetero, that's exactly what hetero means. I don't have any problem with that verbiage. I just think that she might have heard it wrong, and like she made the category error of you like labeling her as a heterosexual when she identifies as bisexual.
That is a wonderful point. I really appreciate that.
I think it's just like a hearing one word and like relating it to something that, even though it's true, like it's like coming off as a label maybe in their head.
Yeah,
and like that's just how they're hearing
taking
it.
Whatever, however they take it. I'm taking a dig or whatever it may be that they feel. It's they're not feeling a positive.
But I think you're right though. Like as far as like that is would be like a heterosexual relationship. Like it would not be a homosexual relationship because it would be same sex at that point. So yeah.
And I have several friends, a couple friends who are transsexual, and I asked them and they were like, no, dude, that's a heterosexual relationship. I mean, you're a man, she's a woman. Like, you don't have anybody else in the relationship, so can't be, too many things. So
quick, well, like, I would say transgender, by the way. Like,
thank you.
The other word is,
yes, you're right. Yeah. Thank you.
No, and like,
thank you.
Don't want to like put you out on anything other than, just some people might take that as a bit of a slur-ish kind of thing. So
100%. That was, I apologize if I said anything.
You're awesome.
I really do. So
no, thank you for being open like that. I really do appreciate these conversations. But yeah, I don't know. I think we hit some pretty common ground there, and honestly, I don't know if I want to even like go beyond that. And we're also kind of hitting about the end of my show time here. Usually
hey,
go until
Ninja,
6,
great talk, man.
Yeah,
thank you for your time.
Thank you, Silver.
I'm gonna make sure to give you a subscribe, and I'll be back on another chat.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I'll try and entertain some different topics here, so hopefully I'll catch something that you oppose again. Okay.
Right. There we go. Easy. Thank you, buddy.
Yep. Bye. Are you two still there, Dougal and Nick? Are you all alive?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Could you hear that?
I didn't hear a word they said, so I have no idea what was happening.
Yeah, I was listening on my computer. I was cheating.
See, that makes me so frustrated because that's where my problem lies with Video Ninja and trying to bridge the audio, is that if I were to make it so you guys could hear it, it would echo for everybody else, because then it's doubling up. And I just don't know, like, I don't know. I keep hitting brick walls. I need to talk to Justin and see how the hell he's doing all of it, but whatever.
Yeah, I would assume Justin would definitely know how to fix
He's
that issue.
worked it out, yeah. And he had like a little guide, but he hasn't updated it, and his guide doesn't quite fix the problem. But is there anybody else live right now? Because I am probably gonna pass the torch off. I didn't want to go on for too long today, and it looks like we ran out of guests. Unless Right Wing Atheist on YouTube, if you want to come on, I want to know why you're saying that being gay is a defect. Tiny
It
URL,
is
you knew how to get
so
on.
cringy for me to hear atheists being anti-LGBTQ.
It's
And I'm not
cringy.
even an atheist, and it's cringy. I don't.
It's cringy to me that somebody would claim that they're right wing and atheist. I would say that if you're like right wing in America, at least, or if you're like Trump supporting, then you're trying to support a whole like theist agenda. Like, I don't know how you could be
Exactly,
atheist and also like support somebody that is like trying to push a theist agenda. Oh shoot.
you're atheist, but yet you abide by Christian values. What?
Right. Hey guys, I do have to end the call. My dad's calling. And it's probably
Have a
got
good
something to do
one.
with his next heart doctor or something. Whoever else is live, if like Trust But Verify is on, everybody go over there. If Volsi's going to come on later, that'll be here on the Deconstruction Junction, or if you look up Volsi Talks on YouTube, you can get, or is it Volsi Thoughts? Either Talks or Thoughts. I would recommend those two. If neither of them are on, then just tell them Benny sent you wherever you go. So appreciate you all. I got to take this call. So have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.